loves me.
Spend this Valentine's Day
He loves me not.
with someone you love,
He loves me.
someone you trust,
He loves me not.
and someone you know
He loves me.
won't try to kill you.
Will you dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me?
Remember the kid everybody ignored on Valentine's Day?
Loser.
Well, he remembers you.
God, we were so horrible to that kid.
What do you think happened to him?
Stay away from me.
So I think you could kind of get the message of the movie altogether here. It's basically a group of women in San Francisco stalked by a killer wearing a Cupid mask in the days leading up to Valentine's Day. And as the trailer shows, the killer is actually a nerdy kid who wanted to ask the popular girls for a dance. They said no. Basically, the guy turns into a serial killer, and we've got a movie here. Although this is actually based on a novel by Tom Savage, of all people. But when it came out, it was mostly panned because people thought it was too close to the 1980s slasher films like Jason Voorhees, the Friday the 13th movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. You get the idea there. And, you know, it's not a bad idea per se. I mean, it's a film that, honestly, it kind of works for an homage to those classic slasher films. It's not a great movie, but for what they were trying to accomplish, I think they did a pretty good job with it. This is directed by the same person that gave us Urban Legend, and it features David Boreanaz from then starring in Angel, Denise Richards, Marley Shelton, Katherine Heigl. A pretty good cast overall in this movie, and like I said, it pretty much is an homage to the classic slasher films of the 1980s, but you know, the one that honestly comes close to this is My Bloody Valentine, which I think kind of was the inspiration for this. I would think a little bit of My Bloody Valentine and also Halloween, because the killer's wearing a mask like Michael Myers. But I mean, for what it is, it delivers what I think they were promising to deliver. I mean, I don't think they were going in for anything too deep or anything too significant. I mean, that trailer is actually really pretty clever. The beginning of it's really clever, but overall, the movie itself is just, it's fine for what it is. Like I said before, I don't usually get into these slasher films all that much, but it's definitely a film that does pay its respects to the original slasher films of the 1980s, even though it's trying to be something for the new generation. And, I don't know, it does its job well enough, but it's one that, honestly, I don't usually go back to very often. But then again, I'm not much of a slasher film person, so saw it once, thought it was alright. With that said, let us go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Freddie Prinze Jr. and Monica Potter in Head Over Heels.
Oh my God, you're all models.
Oh, don't envy us. We're struggling.
An ordinary girl. I just moved into the neighborhood.
Hi.
Met a handsome prince.
What are you doing Saturday?
But her happy ending
I can't see any flaws. He's perfect.
was just the beginning.
Tell me all your secrets.
Monica Potter,
Everything we've been through together has been a lot.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Everything, just the little things.
Head Over Heels. Rated PG-13.
How the hell does Monica Potter get a starring credit over Freddie Prinze Jr.? I mean, what did she really do besides this movie, except for the little bit role she had in Con Air and Patch Adams? Like, Freddie Prinze Jr., I would have thought would have had top billing, but, hey, shows what I know. But, Potter plays a woman from Iowa who works as a restorer of Renaissance paintings for the New York Metropolitan Museum. She's just finished another frustrating relationship when she finds her new boyfriend with a model on her bed. Not her new boyfriend, her older boyfriend with a model on her bed. She decides to move and share a flat with 4 stupid but nice supermodels, and she meets Jim Winston, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., who lives in front of her window. She falls in love with him, and one day she sees Jim killing a woman through her window, and Amanda and her 4 roommates decide to investigate what really happened. And you can start to see where some of the problems are coming to play here. It's a movie that does it want to be a mystery thriller or does it want to be a comedy? The trailers don't do a very good job of selling you on this movie in general. And, you know, the movie itself really isn't all that funny to begin with, and it tries way too hard to be a lowbrow comedy while it's also trying to be smart at the same time, and it just doesn't work in the end. It's a real misfire of a film. Too many good, talented people involved in this. The director, Mark Waters, would later go on to have much better success with Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, Just Like Heaven, Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. Far better movies than this film, but I really do not remember a whole lot from this. And when I remember from it, it was not good. It was definitely not a good film. Not much more to say about that one. That's head over heels. So let's go ahead and wrap this up with our last movie. It's Kirk Cameron in Left Behind the Movie.
I knew your message. I knew your words. Left Behind the movie. All that's true. Seeing is believing.
The film that basically showed what Kirk Cameron would be doing for the rest of his career. Starring in a bunch of movies where he promptly promotes Christianity, even if it means making some of the worst movies ever made. This is definitely one of them. He plays an airline pilot whose relationship with his wife has gone sour. He ponders having an affair with an attractive flight attendant. During a flight to London, and a number of these passengers disappear. Chaos takes hold when a number of vehicles on the ground and in the air are suddenly unmanned. Meanwhile, a television journalist by the name of Buck Williams is pondering the rash of sudden disappearances as he works on a report about Dr. Chaim Rosenwig, an Israeli scientist who has devised a formula that would make any soil on Earth easy to cultivate. However, Buck wonders if there's more to Rosenweg, good lord, when he discovers that the doctor is in cahoots with two multimillionaires who plan to broker the invention to promote their own agenda of international domination. So this movie is really, really out of the ordinary and bizarre, and just like it's a film that really does not, you could tell it was clearly made as a direct-to-video movie. First off, it was literally a direct-to-video movie, and then someone said, "Hey, you know what we should do? We should put this on the big screen. That'll make a lot of money," and it didn't really make a whole lot of money. I mean, it being back its budget, I guess that means that instant success, but there's something about the movie that really makes it worth watching as a good film. It's a movie that is clearly a so bad it's good type of film, wasting not even a lot of good talents here. Like Kirk Cameron in this is just not even really playing his role in this. He's just kind of there playing himself and not even in a good kind of way. And I don't know. It's a movie that really does not work on any level. Even if you're a hard-on Christian person and really believes in this type of stuff, at some point you got to look at this and go come on, man. This is too ridiculous. It's like he's making a mockery of. It's like this movie's making a mockery of Christianity and the way Christians actually act overall, which Kirk Cameron would later do later on in the movies he would make. I mean, go look at Saving Christmas. That's one of those ones. It's just what the hell were you thinking when you made that movie, dude? It's just even though he wasn't involved in the writing or the production of this, it's just this was the beginning of the downfall of what Cameron used to mean to a lot of people back when he was on Growing Pains, and what he basically has become now, pretty much. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. It's one of those so bad. It's not even one of those so bad it's good type of movies. It's just a so bad movie that's so bad. I mean, I have no idea why they thought they should put this on the big screen, but I guess it proved to be successful enough to make sequels and even a reboot with Nicolas Cage in it, which. That's bad too. I mean, that one might be even worse than this one is. I mean, this one at least tells you straight out what it's trying to accomplish, but that one is just I don't know what the hell you were trying to do with that one, with the Nicolas Cage one, but yeah, not much more to say about this one. Left Behind the movie. So this is, of course, the continuation of The Silence of the Lambs. This is actually based off of a novel written by the original writer of Silence of the Lambs, That's Thomas Harris, which came out about 8 years after the original film did. In this one, you have Clarice, played this time by Julianne Moore. She's attempting to apprehend a cannibalistic serial killer, Hannibal Lecter, once again played by Anthony Hopkins, before his surviving victim, Mason Verger, played by Gary Oldman, captures him. In addition to all three of them, you've got Ray Liotta, Frankie Faison, Giancarlo Gianni, and Francesca Neri. And with a director like Ridley Scott on this, who's just coming off of his biggest success to date with Gladiator, that was about to win a Best Picture Oscar, a script written by David Mamet and Steven Zazilian, Steven Zazilian, of course, wrote Schindler's List. David Mamet, probably one of the greatest writers of our time, Glengarry Glen Ross, and a marketing campaign with this really creepy-ass Hannibal Lecter poster. I mean, just look at that right there. That's friggin' terrifying. And all that built up, and this is the movie they gave us. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really, really preposterous. Even for a movie like this, like, the levels of ridiculousness this movie goes to really take you out of it. Like, you have one of his surviving victims, Hannibal Lecter's surviving victims, Mason Verger. And he's played by Gary Oldman, and you're supposed to see what he looks like. It's supposed to, and I don't know what they were thinking with this makeup work, but he looks ridiculous, and it doesn't help that Gary Oldman's overacting his ass off on this. It also doesn't help that the story overall really does not make a whole lot of sense in general. I mean, this is a film that, this is supposed to be the sequel to The Silence of the Lambs. We've waited so, first of all, did The Silence of the Lambs really need a sequel to begin with? Probably not. More than likely it didn't. I mean, like, that's one thing. Two, it doesn't have that same spark that Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster had with Silence of the Lambs. Julianne Moore has proven she could be a great actress in any movie she's in, but her stepping into this role with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, it's just not flowing. It's not working at all. Anthony Hopkins doesn't know what he's trying to do in this movie, and the film itself is just, it's not that interesting or exciting in general. And even when it gets to a moment where it's just like, it wakes you up, it's not delivering what it's promising you. Like, there's a scene at the end of the movie where Ray Liotta's character is literally having his brains taken out of him by Hannibal Lecter, and it's just like, this should be interesting, and yet it's not. It's like, how do you do that? Like, how do you take a scene where somebody's getting their brains literally taken out of them, and you see it on screen, and you get nothing out of it? It's amazing how badly this movie just completely drops the ball on moments that should be so interesting and so engaging, and yet it just doesn't work at all. It's a really, really lackluster sequel. It's a dull movie. Nothing of interest happens in this film. It's way too long. It doesn't know what direction it wants to take itself. Everyone's trying their best to get something out of this, and it has a unique vision to it. The cinematographer of this movie, I think, is John Toll, I think? No, I'm thinking of somebody else altogether. John Matheson, who has worked with Ridley Scott in the past. He does a good job of giving this movie a unique visual style to it. But as I said before, visuals don't make the movie. I mean, you need a good story. You need something there to get me invested in what's going on here. And sadly, it's just not there. And for a film that's over 2 hours long, and it's really dull, even when it's supposed to be really awesome to look at, and disturbing at the same time, it's not there. And it just feels like, it feels lifeless. There's literally nothing about this movie that feels like I needed to be here for this. And nevertheless, it broke box office records. It was a big hit when it came out, so it had an audience to it, and it did become a hit on video. But I guess if there's one thing that's good about this, it did lead to a prequel in Red Dragon, which ended up being a far superior film, which we'll get to when we get to 2002, which was directed by Brett Ratner, too, of all things. Which we'll get to that in 2002. But this, it's not worth it. It's not worth it in the end, and it's really a big letdown overall. So, my thoughts on Hannibal there. So let's go ahead and get to the last film that came out this weekend. Jason Biggs, Steve Zahn, Jack Black, and Amanda Peet in Saving Silverman.
This story is about me and my two pals. We've been best friends since the 5th grade. Yeah! But now we're all grown up. Nothing could ever come between us. Then she came along. Give the lady a scotch, and I'll have another beer.
Oh, he'll have a gin and tonic.
Make that a gin and tonic. Judy, awesome to meet you.
Judith.
And the beer bong for the lady? Darren tells me you're a psychologist. I'm in a related field.
Really? What's that?
Pest and rodent removal.
I don't want you to see Wayne or JD ever again, Darren.
I'm not dropping Wayne and JD.
Okay, fine. No more sex. No fun.
From the director of Big Daddy
We miss you. We never see you anymore.
comes a story about tough love.
Judith proposed to me.
Darren's my puppet and I'm his puppet master.
Before Judith, our fun level was at an all-time high, 93. But look now. 2
Good friends.
Who's Darren talking to?
Those are his new friends.
We're not giving up on Darren. Coming at you! And bad ideas.
We're gonna kidnap Judith and set Darren up with Sandy.
Yeah!
What?
Darren?
Sandy?
Sandy?
The bat is leaving the cave.
I'm hit. I need backup.
I just can't figure out why Judith left. Maybe she got kidnapped. You think? No, definitely not. That's impossible.
Jason Biggs.
Oh, there's the duck. That was always Judith's favorite.
Sorry.
Steve Zahn.
If you say anything about Judith, you give you a little shock. Ow! Okay.
Jack Black.
Have you ever had a girlfriend?
Yes.
And Amanda Peet.
We're on a mission of love. I love you, Judith.
Sadie Silverman. Judith escaped!
Here you have another one of those movies that in reality is really, really stupid and should be absolutely horrible. But for someone like me who grew up around this time when this movie played right into what I thought was really funny comedy back then, I really enjoyed this movie. And even today, even as bad as the movie is, which definitely proves to be the case, I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's a fun, bad movie. I really was laughing long and hard back when I saw this as a kid. But the basic story of this movie, before I go further into it, is that you have Jason Biggs playing Darren Silverman. His longtime friends are trying to save him from marrying his controlling new girlfriend, played by Amanda Peet, whose behavior threatens the friends, their band, and Darren's choice of happiness with his lifelong true love, played by Amanda Detmer. And you also have Arlie Ermey in a really good, funny role in here, and Neil Diamond has had a fun cameo in this movie, even though the characters basically have a tribute band called Diamonds in the Rough, where they dress up like Neil Diamond and sing his songs. In fact, Neil Diamond himself actually has said that he was dragged into the project kicking and screaming humorously, and he actually wrote and composed a new song for the film called "I Believe in Happy Endings," which, I mean, I think it's I think it's a funny movie. I know it's completely stupid. I know it doesn't have a whole lot of sense in terms of the plot in general, but there's just moments in this movie that made me laugh out loud. Lines in this movie that are just so hilarious. Like, there's this moment in the movie where Steve Zahn and Jack Black are down in the basement where they have Judith kidnapped, and they're going to open the door and they're going to grab a gun, they're going to shoot her, and she's just like, you guys are not going to shoot me. It's just like, it's absolutely we are. It's just like, you've never shot anybody in your life, and they just keep making up stories about people they've killed. And like when they were about to do it, they just can't do it, and they just leave like, God damn it, and just close the door and go back upstairs. Like they were really that upset that they couldn't pull the trigger. Like moments like that are stupid in their own way, but it's really funny at the same time. It's just like it really is one of those things. Like I look at Little Nicky as a perfect example. If you grew up with it like I did, and found enjoyment into it, it's mostly going to be a nostalgic feeling towards it. Yeah, Little Nicky's not a great movie either, but it still has those moments in there that make me laugh out loud. Saving Silverman is definitely a prime example of that. Like, this is not a great movie. It's, script-wise, it's a very lackluster movie, but comedy-wise, it still makes me laugh after all these years. I love this movie. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It features a lot of really good people involved doing whatever they can to make me laugh, and it works. For me, it works, so have to give it a pass on that front. Like, I know it's stupid, I know it's not great, but I love it anyway. Saving Silverman, stupid fun, can't get any better than that.
Barton may have died.
What is
this place.
This is heaven. But he won't take it lying down.
I want a body now.
Now,
Mr. Wellington.
I've got a body. Better recognize. He's coming back to live the high life, even if it belonged to someone else.
Take a Tiger Woods jaw.
Chris Rock.
Give me your wallet.
Down to earth.
Are you sure I won't die for 40 years?
Technically, yes. Rated PG-13.
But this body's just a loner.
Starts Friday, February 16th.
So Down to Earth is actually a remake of the classic 1978 film Heaven Can Wait, which starred Warren Beatty, which in turn was actually based off of a stage play of the same name. And in here, it's basically kind of the similar story. Chris Rock plays this comedian who's killed before his time on Earth is through, and he's given another chance to continue his life, but in the body of a middle-aged white man. And of course, hilarity ensues from there. For the most part, the movie is fine, I guess, but you know, when you have a guy like Chris Rock at this time of his career, more edgier than he is nowadays, you expect a whole lot more from this movie, and sadly the movie really does not deliver on that, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, there are times when the jokes can work, and sometimes it can be really funny. Plus, there is a good enough cast that can hold up the load for the most part. I mean, in addition to Rock, you see Eugene Levy in there, Jennifer Coolidge, both from American Pie, which coincidentally, this is directed by the duo behind American Pie, specifically Paul Weitz, who directed American Pie, but Chris Weitz also worked on that film. But this was his first time as a director on a project, and they'd later go on to direct direct other movies after this point. But in addition, you have Regina King, Mark Addy, Frankie Faison, Chaz Palminteri, Wanda Sykes, John Cho, Thelma Hopkins. A good cast overall in general, and there are moments, brief moments, where there are funny moments to this film, but they are very few and far between. There's not a whole lot of jokes overall that are really that funny or that enjoyable, and the story elements here, the story elements here do kind of fall into predictable, cliched comedy territory, and it really does not really add up in the long run. The moments that should be funny in this movie really are not, and it struggles big time because of it. And for that, overall, I thought the movie overall was a real letdown, considering everything that was going on board with this, in terms of the script, in terms of the cast and all that, and the direction and all that. But overall, the movie definitely is a big misfire in the long run. I mean, it's a film that really does not work on a whole number of different levels, and it's just kind of like, you expect so much more from it with everything that's going forward in terms of the casting and the writing and the direction and all that, but it just never really goes there. It just kind of comes and goes, and it's just like, it was literally nothing when it's all said and done. It's a real letdown of a film the more I think about it. It does make me laugh every once in a while, but not enough for me to say that it's one you should definitely check out, unfortunately. So that's Down to Earth. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Recess School's Out.
Attention, students. This is Principal Brinkley talking. I want to inform you all that I have a fat, saggy butt, which I like to scratch every hour on the hour.
Get ready for a recess movie so big,
Why, Principal Brinkley, sir. What a surprise.
it takes a theater to hold it.
Summer vacation, the ultimate recess.
They thought school was over,
Break in! Erase the access code!
but the mystery was just beginning.
I am gonna get rid of recess.
No! Mom! TJ, are you all right? Those guys in the school, they're doing some kind of evil experiment.
That bonk on the head must have rattled your little brain.
But, Mom!
You're feverish. You wait right here. I'll go get the baby thermometer and the petroleum jelly. Okay, that right there, that was messed up.
Now, they're going to save the world, one playground at a time.
Get off our planet, alien scum! Ninjas!
I'm stuck! Curse these bodacious hips of mine! Randall, run back to my place and get the butter!
That part still grosses me out, sir.
Get him.
It's a recess unlike any you've ever experienced.
Psychedelic Prince-O-Talia.
It's party time.
On February 16th, recess will never be the same again.
We're going in.
And no running in the halls!
Recess, school's out.
Dad!
DJ, did you run into the sliding glass door again?
Come back! Your mom's gonna want to take your temperature.
So yeah, out of all the animated shows that were on TV back then to make a movie out of, Recess seems like one of the weirder ones to do it with. I mean, it's a simple story in general. It's just kids out of school, and then they have these adventures that go on in the playground during recess and during the school day, among other things in particular. You don't think there's really enough there that could handle a feature-length motion picture, but I guess it was successful enough that Disney basically said, yeah, this is successful enough that we can make a movie off of this. But then again, they made a movie of Teacher's Pet not but a couple years later, and nobody really remembers Teacher's Pet, the TV series. The movie, on the other hand, you might be surprised. We'll eventually get to that one later on, but let's talk about Recess School's Out. You basically have the 6 kids in there: TJ, Vince, Ash, Spinelli, Gretchen, Mikey, Gus. They finally have finished 4th grade at 3rd Street School, but boredom quickly sets in when TJ's friends leave for camp until TJ uncovers an evil plot to do away with summer vacation. A crazy former principal, played by James Woods, is planning to use a laser beam that he stole from the U.S. military base to alter the weather and create permanent winter. Naturally, TJ rallies his friends together and they conspire to fight the wicked doctor, but it turns out that the doctor is so strict that he wants to change the orbit of the moon in order to put the nation in a constant freeze, thus putting an end to summer, creating a year-round school year, and it's up to them, only them, to save the world for kids all over the world. And as I said before, Recess was one of the quintessential shows from one Saturday morning back in the day, so I guess maybe it makes sense to make a movie, but as far as TV adaptations go, it's kind of what you'd expect from a movie like this. I mean, you get a big epic adventure for these characters, but it still carries a lot of the wit and charm that the original series has, and this movie definitely has a lot of that. A lot of the wit and charm, and some pretty impressive animation from this company, Sunwoo Animation. They did a lot of the animation for the Rugrats movies, as well as the Wild Thornberrys movies, so it does give it a little bit of an epic look to it compared to the original TV series, and like I said, you can't go wrong without having James Woods as your villain. And it does have a nice little story about the adults in this movie, especially like Principal Prickly and the adults there who like, yeah, they treat the kids like they should, like any school would, but they also were kids at one point too. And I like they flash back to a time when they were kids as well, and they understood the importance of something like, the importance of having a summer vacation and having a childhood and all that. And the movie overall does give you that epic big screen feel to it. There's nothing too groundbreaking about it, but it keeps a lot of what makes the original series special and adds impressive elements to it and an upgraded animation budget to it. And I think anybody who loves the original Recess series definitely will get a kick out of this movie. But other than that, if you're not too familiar with the show, you might find something to it, but I think it's more for the people that are fans of the show. I was one of those people that grew up with it when it was on Disney Channel and tuned Disney a lot, so I know more about it than I think most people who wouldn't know about this series would know about it. So overall, I do really enjoy the show and the movie as well. But like I said, if you're a newcomer to this, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's something that you should avoid. Like, what am I trying to say here? I'm not get my words mixed up here. If you're not a fan of the show and you're watching this for the first time, you might be a little bit confused by it, but I still think you can go and watch it overall and find some enjoyment to it. But I think if you've been a fan of the show or know more about what the show's about, I think you can definitely get more appreciation out of it if you know more about the show than you do about not knowing the show. That's what I'm basically trying to say here. So anyway, that's Recess School's Out. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron in Sweet November.
She gave him something to live for. You defy every law of nature I know. Marry Sarah.
I can't.
Now,
I'm sorry.
he's got to show her
If you leave now, everything will be perfect forever.
it's something worth fighting for.
I live for one thing.
Keanu Reeves, loving Charlize Theron. Sweet November. Rated PG-13. Starts this Friday at a theater near you.
So the story centers around a man and woman whose fates are intertwined and will change forever. You have Keanu Reeves as an avid advertiser living in San Francisco, and one day during a driving test, he meets this girl played by Charlize Theron, a beautiful but seemingly eccentric woman. She's falsely accused of cheating and ends up failing the test because of Nelson, and after getting kicked out of the exam, Sarah waits for him outside and starts to insult him. However, Nelson ignores her and takes off. Then she traces her down and shows up at his place. She promises to leave him alone only if they give her a ride. And later that night, she asks him to live with her through November on the promise that his life will change for the better. He turns her down, saying that he has a girlfriend. On the first day of November, after being fired and dumped on the very same day, Nelson decides to give it a try and then somehow agrees to spend the whole month with Sarah and finds herself in a desperate love affair that he will remember for the rest of his life. Well, it's a good thing he'll remember it because nobody else remembered this movie when it came out. It bombed hard at the box office when it came out and was panned considerably by critics. I mean, this was a film that was completely dismantled by them for a couple of different reasons. One, it's a very schmaltzy, manipulative, emotionally manipulative, cliched, riddled romantic drama. It has a plot that is so ridiculous and so stupid, and even the elements of the film are so stupid and ridiculous. I remember Eben Roper is when Roger Ebert and Richard Roper did a review for this particular film. Like, I'll never forget how in that review they talk about there's this one scene where, it's Christmas time and Nelson's bringing up all these presents like Santa Claus, and it's like all these crazy different things, and then out of nowhere there's this automatic dishwasher that comes out of the complete nowhere. Like, how big is this automatic dishwasher that he's able to climb up a ladder with inside of a bag and put it inside of a bag? I mean, what sense does that make at all? And as you can probably tell if you've seen movies like this, or even the remake of this that this is actually based off of, it's a movie that's based off of a film with Sandy Dennis in it. But yeah, Sarah's basically going to die. She has terminal cancer, not Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's just like, oh no, we gotta care so much about this now. Fuck you. Like, I don't usually say the F word on this particular show, but sorry, fuck you. But that is just, I hate it when movies throw that curveball at you, and it's just like, no, it's supposed to completely accept everything that happens beforehand. And I'm sorry, you can't play those games in my book. I mean, it's like, unless you have a really good script to work with here, or characters I can actually get involved with, then I'd be okay with that, but not in this movie. It's a waste of really good talent, a really dumb storyline, bad direction, bad emotional manipulation. It's just an all-around disaster on so many levels. It's one of the worst movies of the year, bar none. Yeah, avoid this one like the plague. Sweet November.
Always ready to play.
It was a night. How many Elvises does it take to take Las Vegas?
Time to go to work, baby.
Kurt Russell, Kevin Costner, Courtney Cox, Christian Slater, Kevin Pollak, David Arquette, Howie Long, Bokeem Woodbine, Ice-T.
Hit me. You nuts? Probably.
3,000 Miles to Graceland. Rated R. Starts Friday, February 23rd.
Because when you see franchise pictures, you know it means quality. Okay, not really, but you basically have a it's pretty much the precursor to something like Ocean's 11, which proved to be a much better heist movie set in Las Vegas that came out later this year by Warner Brothers. But it's an ingenious enough plan. Rob the Riviera Casino's count room during an Elvis impersonators convention. What could possibly go wrong? But Thomas Murphy, played by, I believe it's Kevin Costner, he decides to keep all the money for himself, shoots all of his partners, including recently freed ex-con Michael Zane, played by Kurt Russell. With $3.5 million at stake, the Marshal Service is closing in, and single mother Sybil Waingro, played by Courtney Cox, and her son Jesse, constantly confounding things, Michael must track down Murphy. This is a movie that, like I said, it's franchise pictures. A lot of their movies were not that great, and they had a high budget, and sure enough, there's another one of those movies that has one of those high budgets, and you can't help but think that yourself that the people that, the producers of this movie went into Las Vegas, basically spent all that money they were given, and basically tried to get as much money as they could, but they couldn't. And when they realized that, oh shit, we don't have enough money to make this movie, let's just make the cheapest production we can and just say that we spent $47 million on it. And that's the end result here. And, for a movie that has Kurt Russell, Kevin Costner, Courtney Cox, Christian Slater, Kevin Pollak, David Arquette, Thomas Hayden Church, Bokeem Woodbine, Ice-T, friggin' Paul Anka, you would think there'd be so much more to it, but yeah, as far as the film itself goes, it's pretty bad. I mean, there are some possibly good ideas overall, but the movie just turns out to be another one of those movies that doesn't know what type of tone it wants to set, and the tone it decides to set doesn't match up with what the original intentions of the movie were. It's just a film that, it's not funny, the action sequences are not that great, the acting overall is really mediocre, and you don't expect that from talents like Costner and Russell among the cast in this movie, but you expect so much more from it. But unfortunately, again, franchise pictures, they are notoriously known for making one bad movie after another, and this is another one of those prime examples of a movie that is a bad movie on so many levels, and a film that fits so rightly with the dumping ground months of January and February. So Not much more to say about this one, 3,000 Miles to Graceland. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Brendan Fraser in Monkey Bone.
Show me the monkey! Get the monkey! Stu Miley is the creator.
The man behind the monkey.
Monkey Bone is his creation.
I love your way.
Stu was about to have it all, until it all came crashing down. From the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hello? Am I dead?
Hiya, boss.
Comes the story of a man whose imagination brought a monkey to life.
This is living.
Hey! Get your fat butt out of my face.
And a monkey
We've got big plans for that body of yours!
who wanted a life of his own.
Stu?
Whoa! Baby!
This spring, if it screams, if it swings,
Ooga, ooga, da, 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 da!
it's got to be
Drinks for everybody.
Monkey Bone. 20th Century Fox presents Brendan Fraser, Bridget Fonda,
The woman I love is living with a little monkey that looks like me.
Dive, dive, dive!
What a lucky girl.
Monkey Bone.
Sorry, kitty. I'll be right back after I choke my monkey!
Kind of like with 3,000 Miles to Graceland, a very promising premise overall, and very promising ideas, very promising, unique, interesting concepts, mixing live action and animation together, stop motion animation. The end result, not so much. The storyline of this movie is that you have Brendan Fraser as this cartoonist who ends up in a coma, where he ends up located in this place called Downtown, which is basically a state of limbo between heaven and hell. And he runs into the titular character that he created, as voiced by John Turturro, as he works to get back to the living while contending with an evil plot to supply Downtown with nightmares. Fittingly, this is directed by the same man that gave us The Nightmare Before Christmas. And, yeah, and it's also written by Sam Hamm, who also wrote Batman and Batman Returns. And a cast that includes Bridget Fonda, Chris Kattan, Giancarlo Esposito, Rose McGowan, Whoopi Goldberg, again, John Turturro. The possibilities for this movie should have been massive. I mean, this should have been a really impressive movie, and a chance to show what Henry Selick can do as a director as a whole. But when you watch the film and you see it go on, you start to realize that, yeah, this was just a bad idea altogether. I feel like this is a movie that had so much more potential to it, so much more ideas to it. This is based off of a comic book, too, a comic book called Darktown, which, of course, like I said, is pretty much... No, I said it was Downtown. Is it? Yeah, Downtown. So it's not the same thing. I thought it was the same thing for a second there, but... Yeah, it's based off of a comic book called Darktown, and it was basically an idea that the writer of this basically said that I've never felt any project was closer to my sensibilities than this one. The initial intent was to stay true to source material, which could be seen in the early designs from Selick's company, Twitching Image. However, as the project developed and eventually evolved into Monkey Bone. So this is not even a movie this movie did not end up being the movie that was originally intended to be the film that Darktown was supposed to be. And you could tell there was a lot of influences from, obviously, Tim Burton's Batman, a little bit of Cool in there as well, and, of course, the big one, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But in the end, the movie, I think, just really, I don't know, it just had so much potential there from the get-go. It felt like a film that really could have been something very unique and very different. And it has the visuals to it. It's got a lot of weird, bizarre, dark, twisted ideas, and maybe too twisted for its own good. There are moments in this movie where it's just kind of like, they're going way too far with these visuals, man. It's just really bizarre, insane stuff, and it just really, it never really lives up to the full potential that I think they wanted to, especially what Henry Selick said over 20 years later. He basically said that it would have been done better if they advertised it a little. I would still like to do a director's cut, but there's a lot of cool stuff that was removed. My main lesson learned is that I don't really do well in the live-action universe. I love my world of stop motion. I went down a slippery slope to make Monkey Bone, and the film that came out is not my vision of what the film could have been, and I just don't thrive in that, which is pretty true, because once he did this movie and went back to doing what he did best with stop motion, his career really went back on track. I mean, he helped to establish Leica Animation. He did Coraline. He did Wendell and Wild. I mean, he's basically improved his career, put his career back on track after this particular film. This was just a movie that I felt like maybe there could have been so much more to it, and it just didn't live up to the potential. And it just shows that Henry Selick tried his hand at live action, didn't find it very interesting, and went back to doing what he did best. Kind of like what happened with Andrew Stanton, who tried to go into the world of live action, and he did John Carter after he did so many Pixar movies. But when that didn't work, go back to doing what you do best. I mean, Brad Bird kind of did that too. And Monkey Bone, some good ideas overall, some nice visuals, but yeah, the film overall was just a massive, massive misfire on so many levels. And I am glad to see that Selick and Fraser and everybody in the cast moved on from this and actually went on to have bigger and better careers, which, then again, except for Bridget Fonda, who, after one other movie she did in 2001, her career kind of took a quick downfall, which is sad to say because she's a great actress, but she hasn't really done anything after this next movie that comes out later in the year, Kiss of the Dragon, but we'll eventually get to that one when we get to that one. But as far as Monkey Bone is concerned, yeah, it's a big misfire on so many levels.